So I'm here to audition for the role of Bruno in Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. Is it hard working for John Cordy? Not massively. The money's not great. I don't think a lot of people know him, so they search for entertainer by lowest to high. I live mainly off tips. Well, to be fair, most of the time it's not even money. They just say things like, "Here's a tip for you. Stop working as a John Cordy impressionist." Which is like, gee, great, I'll just eat out of the bin again, shall I? I mean, I have no musical training, but John mainly plays jazz, so you just say it's jazz. And if they say like, yeah, that's not jazz, you just say it is. Who's to say what jazz is? Which is really sort of a get out for everything I do. No, it is hot. I'm going to leave the jumper on though, because as part of it I have all John's tattoos on, and they don't go for much of that stuff around here. It's fairly liberal, so I'll just sweat it out. I used to do a lot of children's parties for John. Eventually didn't want to go to. Don't do them anymore. John has dogs. Turns out I'm massively allergic to them, so first show I did had just huge reaction to it. And sort of couldn't see and stumbled over. Broke my fall with a child's leg. And regardless of whether that child was already in a wheelchair or not, it's hard to come back from that. So now I mainly do the sort of personal events he doesn't want to do, so weddings, funerals, his own proposal. I mean, of course there are perks. You don't get into this line of work without there being some. I'm very much a people person. John isn't. John absolutely hates everybody, apart from two people, his fiancée Lenny and the character actor Dave Benson Phillips. Yeah, I mean, of course John's politics or reported politics come up from time to time, and as a John Cordy impressionist I have to deal with that. But I will say this, the only time I've seen him sort of right-leaning is when he got a plectrum stuck in his Ugg boot. I have to wear boots. I don't tell my children. Yeah, obviously we are different people. We have different backgrounds. But when I'm on stage as John, I have to embody the full thing. So if someone says to me, "Do you want to buy this Yamaha guitar?" I have to do so, even though I don't have the money, which is difficult. But then you have to stand there and say, "Yeah, money's no problem," because he's got these catchphrases. Money's not a problem. The only time I've let that slip really would probably be, you've seen at the end of his videos. You haven't? Alright, well at the end of his videos, he says that, if you don't mind, maybe if you like what I do, click that link or buy me a coffee or whatever. Which is interesting, because I was homeless and I saw John and I said, "Can you get me a coffee?" And he was like, "No, John Cordy's buy their own coffees." And I said, "But I'm not John Cordy." And he said, "Well, that's your first mistake." And that was a real eye-opener for me. I first met John about 11 years ago, 12 years ago. He was working at a supermarket, so was I. And he said, "Look, I've pretty much got this acoustic gig nailed down. I want to move into jazz, but I'm concerned that I'll be too popular." And I said, "I can understand that." That was my first thought when he said it. There's only so much time that a man has to give to something, and if you're going to go into jazz, you're going to be busy all the time. So he said, "How about you do some of the events that I can't do?" I think he just watched that episode of The Simpsons where Homer becomes a Krusty the Clown impersonator. But 10 years later, here I am, being interviewed about that job, and it's obviously it's quite easy. Gigs are often an hour tops, so you just play a couple tracks off Mark Kelly's Marathon. Or you just say it's a jazz song, give it a title like Parisian Bar at Midnight, and someone goes, yep, that checks out. 7 good days a week, tick. You just play whatever. It doesn't really, like I say, you just say it's jazz and they just go, is it? And you go, oh, don't really know a lot about jazz, let me simplify it for you. John is 100% about balance. These days you can't have a career unless you're going to be direct down the centre. You get cancelled and stuff. So John obviously went out to Israel and performed. At the same time, I did another show in Palestine for balance. You know, it's the same sort of thing. John played in London. I played in wherever ISIS are headquartered. You'd be surprised at how much they love jazz. They hate a lot of Western culture, but jazz is still kind of their thing. Probably because it's from Africa, really. Yeah, obviously cultural appropriation comes up a lot. Not me culturally appropriating John, he's just a white guy. But obviously me pretending to be someone that is pretending to be someone that should be able to play jazz raises some questions, so we had to dial that back a bit. Yeah, gig later. Got the time, so I didn't get the role of Bruno in the stage adaptation of Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. They wanted me to shave off my foreskin, and I said I can't do that. John has still got one, so